Again, well, did Santa come early and give many of us what we have longed for? Maybe I'm speaking for Janice and Claire. I don't know. Can we eat cheese and drink wine with impunity and claim we're only doing it to prevent cognitive decline? Our diet nutrition expert, Dr. Beth Kitchen from UAB, joins us now with the answer. Good morning, Dr. Beth.
Good morning, Mike.
So I know you're speaking of other people, and so but where did this come from? Did this come from another published study, a headline, a tweet that some media person tweeted? Okay.
It's one of those situations, Mike, that we talk about a lot where the study is fine. It's just getting overly reported and a little exaggerated, not just in the media. We can't just blame the media here. The researchers are kind of overstating their findings a little bit as well. Okay. So we can't just blame the media on this one. Now, Mike, I wish that this were true. I wish that we could just eat lots of cheese. Cheese is my favorite food. I eat it every day, and drink lots of wine, and we would, keep our brains and our minds healthy. But don't take this headline quite too seriously. And Mike, you and I just a couple weeks ago, we talked about the dangers of drinking too much alcohol, particularly with certain cancers. So, yes, I love my wine, but I'm very careful about keeping it in that moderation.
Yeah, and we do know there are health benefits, but talk a little bit more about this study, what they found, and what can we take away from it, with a grain of salt, but also take seriously.
Exactly. So that's a really good question, Mike. And with this study, it was an analysis of a data bank. It's the UK, the Biobank, and it's this huge bank of data that they have. And what some American researchers did is they analyzed some data that looked at people with and without Alzheimer's disease and their intake of foods, and then they looked at what's called fluid intelligence. So people took this test that tests their fluid intelligence. It's how well you can problem solve without any prior knowledge, and look to see if there were associations between foods and their ability to think fluidly, and then also whether that had anything to do with whether they had Alzheimer's disease or not. And what they found is that cheese and wine both ranked pretty well in people without Alzheimer's disease. And they're saying that it suggests that if you drink a lot of wine and eat a lot of cheese, that you'll maintain this cognitive ability. But Mike, this is one of those observational studies, and you and I talk about these a lot. They're interesting, but they can't show cause and effect.
Well, and I want to ask you real quickly, the interesting part to me, eating lamb every week, but not other types of meat or processed meat. Yeah.
Right. It was, and the other one that came out high as protective was eating lamb once a week, but no other red meat. And so again, it's interesting, but we have to look at the type of study that this is. And so you're seeing these headlines saying, that if you drink wine and eat cheese, it's going to preserve your mental function. And that's just a bridge too far for what this data is showing. We have to then do the randomized controlled trials, which might be a little bit tough in this situation to do. And so we just have to, again, as you said, take this with a grain of salt, right? Yeah. So perfect adage for that.
All right. Well, listen, happy holidays. Have a safe holiday. Merry Christmas to you and everyone there with your family. Hope they're safe as well. And I'm sorry, what'd you say, Jeremy, my producer? Oh, he said I still have time. This never happens. What's going on here? Well, hey, listen, so folks are going to celebrate this holiday season. I think what you always say, we do preach moderation. But in terms of how much wine and cheese we consume, again, I would think keep it at healthy levels is the takeaway there.
Right. And that is the point of this, is that we have to be careful, because these messages, as you and I talked about a couple of weeks ago, the public gets confused with messages about alcohol. You hear people tell you that it's good for your heart, and now it's good for your brain, but then we have to be careful because of cancer. So the message is complicated. It's not that alcohol is good or bad for us. It's that depending upon the disease we're talking about, the effects can be different. And the cancer data, I would have to say, Mike, is a lot stronger with the dangers of alcohol and cancer than the benefits of alcohol and heart disease and mental ability, cognition. So and again, I say this as a wine and beer lover, we've got to be moderate with our alcohol. One of the things that I was very distressed about in reading about this recent study, one of the researchers was quoted in an article was saying some of the people in the study drank up to a bottle of wine a day. That is not a message that we should be telling the public that it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, they drank it over the course of a day with food making it a better way to drink. No.
Yeah.
Don't drink a bottle of wine a day. So.
All right. Well, hey, Dr. Beth K, we know if there's another study, maybe you'll be a volunteer and you could really dive in there.
I will be happy to. And Merry Christmas to all. Do have an enjoyable holiday. Enjoy some alcohol. Just be moderate.
Thank you, Dr. Beth K. Appreciate it.